Hi everyone, today we're going to go over the manifestations of cellular injury. So starting with cellular accumulations, these occur when normal substances are produced in excess. And there are two categories of accumulations. There are normal cellular substances, which are going to be our substances like water, proteins, lipids, and excess carbs. And then our abnormal substances are from endogenous substances, exogenous, and also viruses. So accumulations are harmful because our organelles are going to be crowded, which is going to lead to metabolites being produced during their catabolism. And then when they are produced, they're pretty much just going to be attacked by phagocytic cells, which is going to lead all our other cells spread out throughout the body, which is going to cause our tissues to swell. And this happens a lot in the spleen and the liver. So cellular swelling is the most common degenerative change, and it results from a shift of extracellular water into the cells. And it can be caused by a failure of transport mechanisms, ischemia, and chemical signaling. So water vacuolization is a type of cellular swelling, and this is caused by degeneration of the cell by water. And it causes a shift of extracellular water to go into the cell, which is going to reduce ATP and ATPase. And there's also going to be an accumulation of sodium inside of the cell. So the consequences of this, it's pretty much just the cell swelling and all of those things entering the cell. Onchosis is another type of swelling, and this is caused by ischemia. And it's caused by the failure of the sodium-potassium pump, which is going to lead to increased intracellular sodium in water and also increased extracellular potassium. And when this happens, there's going to be cell death within 24 hours. So accumulation of organic substances, the substances I'm going to talk about are going to be lipids, glycogen, abnormal proteins, and pigments. So starting with lipids, this happens when there's an accumulation of normal cellular lipids when they're produced faster than they are metabolized. So in our liver, high triglycerides can accumulate during starvation, obesity, diabetes mellitus, or alcoholism. And then one of the major consequences of this is going to be vacuolization. It can also cause Tay-Sachs, which is an accumulation of gangliosides. And then when these lipids accumulate, it's going to lead to atherosclerosis as well as gallstones. So glycogen, this happens when there's a genetic disorder with deficiency of enzymes that make or break down glycogen. And diabetes mellitus is the most common disorder that you're going to see with this. And in our liver, there's going to be a loss of NZ-glucose 6-phosphate, and that is going to overall lead to low blood sugar. And then the consequences of this are cytoplasmic vacuolation. So abnormal proteins, there's an enzymatic digestion of cellular organelles, renal disorders, and plasma cell tumors, and that can all increase the protein inside of our cells. And mutated proteins are going to accumulate in the cell, which will reduce the function. A lot of the times you can see this in Alzheimer's disease. And excess proteins called Russell bodies have also been found in multiple myeloma. So the last organic substance I'm going to go over is pigments, and these are substances that absorb visible light that can accumulate in cells from exogenous particle ingestion. So the consequences of this are going to be membrane injury and disruption of cellular metabolism. And then two of the most common pigments are iron, which is a yellow-brown pigment which is derived from hemoglobin. And a lot of the time this can accumulate following bruising and hemorrhaging. So pretty much just bruising and bleeding. And then melanin is another pigment, and it is made in our melanocytes. So calcium can also accumulate inside of our cells, And our cells usually maintain low intracellular calcium levels, but calcium salts can accumulate in our injured and our dead tissue. So this is going to lead to altered membrane permeability, as well as an influx of extracellular calcium, which is going to lead to the excretion of hydrogen, which is then going to lead to more hydroxide, which precipitates calcium endocrine disturbances. So the consequences of this are going to be hardening of cellular structures and enzyme activation and interference of cellular function. So when cellular calcification occurs, there's going to be an influx of extracellular calcium into the injured mitochondria, and this accumulation is going to mainly occur in our alveoli and our nephrons. And it's going to damage membrane proteins and ATP. And as more calcium gates open into the cell membrane, this is called the calcium cascade, so it pretty much just allows calcium to come inside of the cell. In pathologic calcification, there's dystrophic calcification, and this kind of is just going to occur inside of our heart. So it could be like atherosclerosis. It can occur in our heart valves, and it can also occur in the center of our tumors. So the last one I'm going to go over is urate, and this is a major end product of purine catabolism. And it's caused by disturbances in urate metabolism, which can result in hyperuricemia and depositions of sodium crystals, which are going to cause swelling and inflammation. So gout, it's a form of arthritis, and it is caused by a buildup of uric acid, which is also urate. And a lot of the times this happens in the big toe, and it forms urate crystals in our tissues. And the deposition is overall just going to result in cellular injury and inflammation.